Well, good evening and welcome to the Chicago Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression. My name is Lofted Eminari Safu, and we have as our guest Mr. Frank Chapman, the field organizer for the Chicago Alliance. And we're starting our first show of the season, this new season, our second season, which is great, which is good, which is a good thing. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the organization and its triumphs all of last year. Let's have like an end of review sort of conversation, Frank. What do you think were some of the main points and that we can start off with?
Well, I think in terms of last year, there's several things that happened. Tragic things in terms of people being murdered in this city.
That's right.
And then there's a few things that happen in terms of us moving in the direction of resolving this problem. I'm talking about the people of Chicago moving in that direction, because the politicians and those in the city hall and the mayor's office, they have been moving in opposite direction. They've been compounding the problem. So in terms of solutions, one very important thing happened on July the 20th of last year.
Yes.
And that was for the first time in over some 40 years of struggle that we've been involved in for community control of the police, a alderman by the name of Carlos Ramirez Rosa, introduced our legislation calling for an all-elected civilian police accountability council. He, along with 8 other aldermen, introduced the bill or the legislation. And for us, that was a historic achievement, because we've been trying to get this into the chamber for a number of years. We've been ignored. But some things happened last year that they just couldn't ignore.
Yes.
Like prior to, on the 30th, on the 10th of July, which was just a few days before the bill was introduced, we had a massive demonstration where 5,000 people were in the streets.
Wow.
And mostly young people. And Carlos Rosa saw that demonstration. And while he was seeing that demonstration, we also had a delegation to visit him and talk to him about this legislation. So that's why we got it. And he said that when he introduced it. He said that it was not by the persuasion of his fellow aldermen that he was introducing this legislation, but by the demand of the people.
That's right.
He saw 5,000 people in the streets, so this is what the people want. After the legislation was introduced, the mayor had also introduced his own legislative package, which was really a fake police accountability package. It was not about reform. It was about maintaining the status quo. And they had hearings on it all throughout the city. And we showed up at those hearings and protested at those hearings and testified at those hearings. And the most remarkable thing about those hearings is that the overwhelming majority of the people in this city who attended those hearings came out in favor of C.A.R.P.R. And they never, not one time, had C.A.R.P.R on the agenda. Although we're in the legislative chamber, they never one time had us on the agenda. So the people put us on the agenda.
Well, that's an interesting point, because could you tell the people the acronym C.A.R.P.R, just what does that acronym mean?
That means an all-elected civilian police accountability council. And it's a very popular expression in Chicago now. We've made it that over the last 4 years, and we've been struggling around this. So on the south side of Chicago, we got over 50,000 people right now who know what C.A.R.P.R means. We've in the course of the last 4 years, we've reached out to over 1 million people, around this legislation. We've had demonstrations ranging from 2,000 to 3,000 to 5,000 people come out.
Yes.
Just towards the end of last year on Black Friday, we had 500 people come out and boycott the Magnificent Mile.
Right. That was an overwhelming success, I think.
Yeah. So, you know, we had a very eventful year, and we had some accomplishments, but also we had some tragedies. You know, the police are still running rampant, and they're still killing people like they got a license.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Our number here is 312-738-1060 if you'd like to give us a call, because we're going to take all of your phone calls right now. Now C.A.R.P.R, as you said, is the police accountability program. That's the main campaign that the Alliance is pushing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
You know what? Just for a bit of history, tell us a little bit about the history of the Alliance here in Chicago.
Well, we were founded here in Chicago. We started out as a national organization back in 1973, and we were founded at the Congress Hotel. And our founding conference came about as a result of a challenge that we received from Angela Davis. She was a political prisoner facing the death penalty, and a major campaign, not only in this country but throughout the world, was waged on her behalf, and she was set free. So the United Committees to Free Angela Davis and all political prisoners, they put a challenge to us after she got out, and that challenge was, we freed Angela, what about other political prisoners? And so we formed the National Alliance Against Race and Political Repression in response to that challenge.
Yes, yes. Looks like we've got a caller on the line. Caller, what's your question?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, yes. I want to know, when was the first or last time the police have prevented a crime?
When was the last time the police prevented a crime?
The first or last time.
Well, I can't answer that. I think that question would probably be a good question for the superintendent.
We don't. Hello?
Yep, Superintendent Johnson could probably answer that question, but I don't remember them preventing any crimes.
Well, looks like we dropped that caller. That caller dropped himself. When was the last time the police prevented any crimes? I don't think that's a statistic that we're really privy to, are we?
Well, you know, I understand the sarcasm in the question, you know, because the police are doing a whole lot more perpetrating than they are preventing.
Yes.
You know, and even when it comes to you know, the internal violence in the African American community, they contribute a lot to that. You know, we have 70% of the homicides in the black community are not solved. You know, so they're not doing a very good job. And we don't expect them to do one because they're not there to solve crimes.
No.
They're there to occupy our communities and to hold us in control, you know, to keep us from fighting for the things that we need to be fighting for in order to improve our lives. That's what they're there for. Yes. You know, they are like a military occupation. Yes. And they look upon us as hostiles.
Yes.
So we're not expecting them. We're going to have to be the ones who step up. That's why we're talking about an all-elected, all-civilian police accountability council. Until we take community control of the police, that is, until we say who polices our communities and how our communities are policed, there's not going to be no crime prevention. We don't have no voice in how our communities are policed. We need to have that voice, and C.A.R.P.R will give us that voice. C.A.R.P.R will give us that power. As long as we're powerless over the police, they're going to do what they want to do when they want to do it.
Well, you know what, Frank, one of the things that I've learned about the Chicago Alliance is that it's an all-encompassing coalition of folks. Tell us about that.
Well, you know, we have over 50 different organizations that have endorsed C.A.R.P.R, and who have been involved in this struggle along beside us and with us. And, you know, the Chicago Teachers Union, United Working Families, Black Lives Matter, you know, Black Youth Project 100, you know, a number of groups throughout the city. Hood Hope, a neighborhood organization that's about stopping violence in our communities. A number of different organizations, you know, have been involved with us and will continue to be involved with us until we get this. We not only have organizations on the south side, we also have organizations on the north side that are involved with us. And like I say, they will continue to be involved with us until we get this legislation passed.
Now, these organizations that we speak of, they run across all political and religious and even social lines.
Yeah, it's not based on it's based on the issue. You know, we're uniting people and getting people to take action around the issue.
Yes.
And the issue is police crimes. You know, and that's what we're focused on, and that's what we're trying to get people to do. And so far we've been successful at it.
Well, it's a major issue, particularly since just the other day on Sunday's Sun-Times. I don't know if you had a chance to see the cover of the Sun-Times, which was spread out and had talked about the over 700 different murders that occurred in the city. And the cover of the Sun-Times, much to their credit or discredit, depends on how you look at it, had pictures of all those different people who were the subjects of different crimes, either by the police or by their own hand. And the remarkable thing about those pictures is that most of the people were people of color.
Or were they mostly black?
They were mostly black.
Yeah, of course. When we say people of color, that don't necessarily have to be black.
That's right. That's
But,
right.
The reason why I say that,
yes, let's make it clear,
is not because I'm trying to exclude the Latino community, because I'm not.
Right.
They suffer unjustly from these same crimes.
Yes.
But the African American community is hit harder
Right.
than any community in this country, and that's been the case for a long, long time.
Yes, it is.
I mean, you know, I'm 74 years old. It's been the case all my life, you know. And so this is what we're dealing with, you know. I think that, you know, we get to the bottom of this quicker if we just recognize who the police are attitudinally, you know.
And what they represent.
What's their attitude? Their attitude is racist.
Yeah.
They are racist. Now, even some of the black cops who work with the police adopt racist attitudes in terms of the way that they treat the community and whatnot. So you got the police basically being a racist institution implementing and pushing racist policies.
Yes.
Because it's a racist policy that says the black community is a community of criminals. That's a racist policy.
Stigmatization.
You know, it's a racist policy that says I'm going to stop this person over here because his pants is sagging.
Yes.
You know, and so I'm going to stop him and search him and see if he's got a gun. You know, they have no right to treat us that way. We have every right to protest that and to demand something different. We have an inalienable democratic right to police our own communities ourselves.
Yes.
You know, and we don't need racist cops in there policing us and killing us and judging us and moralizing about who's good and who's bad.
And the thing about it, these stereotypes are pretty persistent. We have another caller on the line. Caller, what's your?
Yes, gentlemen, and good evening to you. I got a question to ask you. If you have someone coming into your house and threatening you, and first thing you're going to do is either do two things. You go grab a gun, or you go dial 911. But if you choose to dial 911, what you going to do, ask for the right police officer to come? or do you even ask for an officer to come? So again, the way that you make it sound like we don't need the police or we do take care of ourselves. Let me get out there. I hope y'all understood what I just asked you. Let me get out there so I can hear your response, and thanks for taking the call.
Thank you, caller.
Yeah. No, that's a good question.
Very good question.
You know, because and that expresses a real serious dilemma in our communities. The police have on their car to serve and protect. We don't believe that. If we did, we wouldn't have no problem dialing 911 when we have an intrusion like the brother who just called spoke about. But he knows and we know that you don't know what might happen.
It presents a quandary.
You may call the police, and even though you're the crime victim, you may end up getting shot.
Yeah, and that's happened to so many people.
That has happened because once again, it's about attitude and disposition and training. They are trained to regard the African American community as a community of hostiles. They're given military-like training, to shoot first and ask questions later. So when they step into a situation, everybody is in danger. If you're black or if you're a person of color, everybody is in danger. Because the police, if they suspect anybody there, they're going to shoot first and ask questions later.
And the mayor
and
just
so
the other day.
Sometimes the person who called the police has been the person who ended up being assaulted or killed by the police.
Without a doubt. And the mayor just the other day said that he wants to hire 1,000 more police to hit the streets.
We don't need 1,000 more police. What we need is community control of the police. And we can't say that enough, because what good is 1,000 more police? That's like increasing the problem 1,000 times.
Yes.
We cannot trust the people who are the problem to fix the problem. We can't do that. We got another caller.
We do have another caller. Caller, what's your comment or question?
Yes, my comment is the police department was established to catch runaway slaves by white Roman Catholics. The majority of the police department and the fraternal order of police are white Roman Catholics.
Is that your question or comment?
We don't need no more police. We need
C.A.R.P.R.
That's right. We need to make the police, we need and the mayor on down, the legislators on down, make them accountable, because we've got rampant police brutality and repression going on out here, and the caller's comment speaks to a historic and systemic problem that evolves all the way to right now. So we know about those slave catchers because that's part of our history, and it's a history that some of us really want to hide, cover up, and not talk about. But it's a big elephant in the room.
That's right. Well, that's the reason why the issue of community control of the police is vital. Is essential, because the brother is right. The police have a congenital bloodstain of slavery on them. And they have been doing that social control thing with regard to black people ever since the days of slavery, from the days of the petty wagons and whatnot. All of the jails in the South were built with the idea of containing the slaves. All of them, The National Guard was created in the South with the idea of maintaining slavery. So, they had, why all of the military bases we have in this country, why are they mostly located in the South?
That's right.
Because that's where slavery was at. And so they were there to prevent an uprising, like Brother Nate Parker talks about in the movie The Birth of a Nation. And they're still there to prevent an uprising. Because, we need to have some uprisings today, too. I mean, how can we continue to live in poverty unemployment, all kinds of genocidal practices being perpetrated against us in terms of health care and whatnot. How can we continue to live like that without having an uprising? Of course there are going to be uprisings. And the police are there to put them down.
Yes,
The
exactly.
police are there to stop them, as they did in Ferguson, as they did in Baltimore, as they've done everywhere, And so we are not confused about what their role is. And we're not confused about what we need to do. What we need to do is dismantle them,
Right. Yes.
and use our democratic rights while we got them. We have an inalienable democratic human right to control who polices our communities and how our communities are policed. Without that right, they're going to continue to do what they do because they're there for what the person that called in said. They're there to control us.
And you know what, Frank, one of the important things about the Alliance is that it takes on the mandate of organizing the people. Particularly to face and to fight these kinds of situations that we have going on. How can anyone interested in the Alliance and C.A.R.P.R get in touch?
Let me talk about that for a minute. These are the following places where we have organizing going on every week. It's going to be too cold this weekend. But usually you can find us on 53rd and Harper, on 79th and Cottage Grove, on 63rd and Cottage Grove, on 63rd and Martin Luther King, on 71st and Jeffrey. You can on 35th and Martin Luther King. You can find us there every week tabling, and also on the west side. You can find us tabling. Also on the north side, Wilson and Broadway, we have a table. And at those tables, we not only provide information, we have people that sign postcards to their aldermen demanding that they act to get this legislation that we just talked about passed, to get C.A.R.P.R passed. We update them on current cases in police brutality and police crimes that are going on. We tell them about events that are happening and whatnot. We take this to the community, Now, also every Monday at 6 o'clock, we have a membership meeting. And not only are our members welcome to the meeting, but you're welcome too. You can come to the meeting. And just give us a call at area code 312-939-2750, and we'll tell you where the meeting is going to be at. But we meet every Monday at 6 o'clock.
Looks like we have another caller on our line. It's probably might be our final caller here. Go ahead, caller.
Yes, I was listening that you have tables a lot of different spots. You need to start giving them those cards, have them to get in contact with the politicians, and let's impeach this crazy man that's about to get in office. So that'd be a good thing to do. Let's try that for a change. Let's try to do the right thing. Let's try to get this man out of here because he ain't going to be he's going to be worse than what we had. So again, let's try to get this man out of office. Thanks for taking the call.
Thank you, caller, Frank.
We have no problem with that. We stopped Trump from having a rally here by going out and demonstrating against him, and we're going to be involved in a demonstration on January the 20th against him on Inauguration Day. And the brother made a good suggestion. We'll take that up. We definitely want him out of office.
We definitely do.
So we support the caller 100% on that.
Well, thanks. We want to thank our callers, and Frank Chapman, give that number out for Chicago Alliance one more time.
It's area code 312-939-2750.
This is Lofton Eminari Safu, along with Frank Chapman, the field organizer of the Chicago Alliance Against Racist and Police Repression. Thank you so much for it. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.